We have had a lot of disappointing operations over the years, whether it be High Caliber or the more recent Vector Glare and Brutal Swarm. They have all had their glaring issues. However, the operation we are talking about today released with two of the most underwhelming operators in Siege's history. These operators were so niche that they were rarely picked, but luckily today they have made a comeback. So for the sake of today's story, we must go way back. So strap in, grab some snacks, and let's get into the video. Today's video brings us back to Year 4 Season 2, also known as Operation Phantom Sight. As I said at the start of the video, this operation was kind of underwhelming. With this operation, we got the cafe rework, which was a huge improvement over the original, the implementation of the pick and ban system, which changed the way we play ranked, and we got the reverse friendly fire system, still in use today. Now you may be thinking, well, wouldn't that make this operation really good? Well, this operation's new operators were the worst we had gotten. These were Nook and Warden. The main reason behind the outrage was because they were the first operators in Siege's history to get recycled weapons. Nook came with Smoke's FMG-9, Legion Suppressed 612, Valkyrie and Blackbeard's Deagle, and the FBI's 5.7 USG in her loadout. Also, Warden came equipped with Smoke's M50 shotgun, Valkyrie's MPX, Clash's P10C, and Vigil and Dokubi's SMG-12. The reason people were so outraged is because if you compare Nook and Warden to any operator in the previous 4 seasons, they all came with new guns in their loadout. Considering the new weapons were one of the aspects of new operators people were most excited about, this really was disappointing. But this wasn't the only aspect of these operators that was so disappointing. The other reason was because both Nook and Warden had very niche gadgets. Nook's gadget is a glove that when activated makes her movement quieter and that removes her presence from cameras. Basically, she's a Caveira and Vigil combined on attack. This may seem like a strong gadget, but she was only really useful to counter teams that brought a lot of intel operators, which was somewhat rare. Also, Warden's gadget wasn't better. His gadget is his smart glasses that when activated allow him to see through smoke and avoid flashbangs. His gadget was even more niche than Nook's, because he was only useful to counter Ying and Glaz, who had just fallen out of the meta. If Warden was released just a few seasons before, he would have been extremely strong, but since Glaz wasn't being picked much, neither was he. Warden and Nook were both at the bottom of the win rate chart, and their pick rate wasn't much better. They would see very little play for a very long time, but Ubisoft did a lot to try and buff them over the years. For Warden, over the following 3 updates, they would give him some major buffs. They gave him a deployable shield, buffed his glasses duration, and made him a 2-speed, all in Operation Barrage. Then, in Operation Shifting Tides, they gave him his Nitro Cell that has become known as one of his strongest aspects today. As for Nook, she also got some changes in this period that helped her greatly. Before Phantom Sight's end, they gave her gadget a longer duration and quicker cooldown. Then in Shifting Tides, they buffed her FMG-9's damage by 4. Despite these great changes on them both, their pick rate and win rate wasn't great. Nook was still in the bottom 4 and Warden was as well, with him nearly being off the graph. However, they both had some changes in the near future that would change them into the good operators we know today. These changes would come in the first season of Year 5, also known as Operation Void Edge. Operation Void Edge is one of my favorite operations in Siege's history. We got 2 new operators in the form of Oryx and Iana, who both had fun gadgets with great loadouts to back them up. Also in this update, we got the Oregon rework, which was a welcome and well-needed rework. A lot of people consider it to be their favorite map to this day. On top of it all, we got some amazing balancing changes to tie everything together. What we are here for today, however, is the Nook and Warden buffs. In this update, Warden got a rework to the way his goggles function. This rework made his gadget on a charge system, which would allow him to keep his gadget on for longer. It also removed the annoying cooldown he had before he could use his gadget again. As for Nook, she got a much simpler change, but it was super effective. This change was replacing her claymores with frag grenades. Nades are one of the strongest aspects of Nook today, and so this was definitely a strong and welcome change. After these buffs, Nook saw a massive uptick in her win rate, going from extremely negative to slightly above positive. However, Warden did not see an uptick at all. I think this is due to multiple reasons that were out of his control, the main one being the meta. Warden was released right after the death of the smoke meta, as I said earlier. If you want to watch a video talking more in depth on the rise and fall of the smoke meta, I'll leave a card in the top right for you to go watch it, but I'll go ahead and give you a quick rundown. The smoke meta started because of Ubisoft overly buffing Glaz. This led to him being used at an exponential rate, and with Glaz's increase in pick rate came the importance of smokes and flashbangs. But since they nerfed him in the same operation Warden was introduced in, it made Warden seem unnecessary, and he was instantly written off by most of the player base. This death of the smoke meta caused his reputation to die off as well, and it led to him never being picked. No matter how strong Ubisoft made him, it wouldn't have fixed the fact that the meta just wasn't right for him. Now you may think, well, this seems like things were pretty hopeless for him. And well, you wouldn't be wrong. Nook and Warden would both continue to have low pick rates for a very long time due to their niche gadgets. However, today, they finally are making a comeback. With this season, Nook and Warden have seen a massive use in not only Pro League, but in Ranked as well. With Warden seeing a massive improvement, he is barely outside of the top 10 defenders right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if he climbs into it. Nook may not be in the best place possible right now, but it is definitely an improvement. Now you may be thinking, what happened to cause such a jump for Warden? Well, I think this comes down to a difference in meta. Warden is one of those operators that requires the perfect meta to shine, and while right now, people are starting to realize the stupid strength of flashbangs. Also, with Jaeger and Wamai's pick rate being the lowest it's been in a very long time, it makes the use of flashbangs and smoke grenades more prevalent. Also, the 1.5 is just kind of nuts on the MPX. But now you might be asking, why is Warden's stats so much better than Nook's? This is an interesting question because I consider Nook to be a much better operator than Warden, especially since she now has nades and impact EMPs. This could be down to Maestro and Echo rarely being picked. Without them, the only intel operator that Nook can counter is Valkyrie cameras and default cams. Obviously, this is strong in and of itself, but it isn't as strong as it could be. Or this could be because a lot of people consider the FMG9 to have hard to control recoil. My personal theory is down to trap operators. Capcan, Frost, and Legion all have decent or even great placements on the pick rate chart, and obviously a well-placed trap can ruin Nook's ability to sneak up on attackers. Also, barbed wire and proximity alarms can stop her inner tracks as well, which these are held by a large majority of defenders. To put it simply, I just don't think it's Nook's time. Maybe in the future people will see her ridiculous potential, but at least Warden has had his time to shine. In conclusion, Nook and Warden released incredibly underpowered and niche, with Warden releasing right after the meta he was designed for. The both of them would continue to be underpicked and underutilized. After some buffs, they would become sleeper picks for a while, with a lot of people not seeing their true potential. However, today, people are finally starting to open their eyes to their strength, with Warden being close to the top 10 of all defenders. Will Nook get to see this day? Well, we will have to see. But for now, I can officially say I have told the story of two of Siege's most underwhelming operators. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. I make Rainbow Six Siege content just like this twice a week, so make sure you subscribe and follow me on Twitter so you don't miss the next upload. If you want to watch another video just like this one, a video will be popping up on your screen right now where I talk about the history of one of Siege's most overpowered operators. I'll see you next time, friends, and peace.